Hello, and welcome to Odds on Serie A. It's match day one. The wait is over. European club football is finally back. And if we say Serie A, we say Daniele Fisichella. How are you, Danny?
Ciao, Leo. All good. Great stuff. Well, looking forward to be back, to be fair. The Euros, disappointing for Italy. The Olympic Games, Italy wasn't even there. Copa America, of course, was good for you. But yeah, yes. It's good to be back. It's good to be back. And this is gonna be a very important season for Italian football. 5 teams in the Champions League for the first time ever. The Club World Cup at the end with Inter Juventus involved. But before that, 38 games to decide who's gonna be the champion.
Could Inter become, or could Inter get their third Scudetto in the last 5 seasons? Do you think they can go all the way again?
They're certainly the big favorites because they kept the same squad and added a couple of interesting players that definitely bolster their chances. But, you know, it's always difficult to repeat yourself. Sometimes there is a little bit of feeling of satisfaction of trying something new. So I'm sure the challenges from Milan, from Juventus are going to be very high. But yes, as things stand, Inter seems to have a couple of meters advantage on them if that was a 100 meters race for sure.
And then now, before we move on to on match day one, I was surprised, or maybe I shouldn't have been, but I was, with the huge managerial merry-go-round we had in Serie A. Plenty of changes, almost in every team, a new manager.
And the only teams they haven't changed, Inter, Atalanta, and the rest, they all changed. The Napoli changed, Juventus, Milan, because they came on the back of a very disappointing season. Juventus, very disappointing, finishing third, and they wanted a new chapter under Thiago Motta, new style. Same with Milan. They felt Pioli couldn't give anything more to the team. Roma had already changed the manager last season, so they confirmed the Rossi. But Napoli have hired Conte, hoping to restore themselves at the top of the table. Lazio changed a lot. Yes, a lot of coming and going. Not a lot of player transfers, but yeah, managers probably are cheaper. So yeah, it's worth a shot sometimes.
And you guys, before we get going with the show, as we always say, do not forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification button. Now, let's go. All right, Danny, the season opener is Genoa at home with Inter, the defending champions. For Genoa, last season was, I would say, a relatively good one. They finished 11 in the table. After 1 year with the team, Matteo Retegui said goodbye. He took his suitcase and now he's on the way to Atalanta in Bergamo. I wouldn't say they're going to miss him a lot. I think he scored 9 goals in 31 games last season, but I don't know what constitutes a good season for Genoa. The European spot, the conference playoff, and for Inter, well, we said the dream is there to win the Scudetto, maybe in a better way that they have done last season, although that is difficult because I can't see them repeating a 19 points gap with Milan or whoever comes after them. Lautaro Martinez renewed his contract now until 2029. Last season, Inter Danny won the first, or they won 6 of the first 7 fixtures in Serie A. They look a little bit rusty in preseason. I watched the game against Chelsea. But again, I don't know how much to take from this kind of games. Should Genoa have confidence in rescuing at least a point here?
Genoa last season were impressive against all the top sides. They collected 30 points at home and they managed to get points against every one of the top sides. Actually, they held Inter to a 1-1 draw. The season has been positive. But yeah, when you talk about the objective of Genoa, maybe it's to finish 10th. So just really a marginal improvement. Of course, maintaining the category is really important. It's difficult. Can they repeat last year? There have been a lot of changes at Genoa. They sold the goalkeeper Martinez to Inter. They sold Retegui to Atalanta. And now the big question mark is on Gudmundsson. Last season, he scored 14 goals, provided 4 assists. But of course, this has attracted the interest of Fiorentina first and Inter second. So what a strange combination for the transfer market. Gudmundsson, we really don't know if he's going to be involved in this game. Of course, Gilardino remains hopefuls. They won the Coppa Italia game 1-0, narrow victory. There's going to be more spaces at the moment for Vitinha, who they signed from Olympique Marseille last season, but it is going to be a tough one because Inter are trusted in their system 3-5-2. They strengthened the side with Taremi and Zielinski. Last season, they won the league with 5 games to spare and the best defensive record of the league. Can they do any better? It is difficult, really, to repeat yourself when you've reached such a high side. But before talking about Inter dominating Italian football and being the undisputed leader, let's not forget Juventus have won 9 Scudetto in a row. Inter have won 2 Scudettos in the last 4 years. So we need to really be calm and composed when it comes to that. But of course, they are the team to beat. Last season, they only lost 1 away game after they already won the Scudetto, lost to Sassuolo. So really, it didn't matter to them. Just conceded 11 goals in 19 away games. They're a little bit depleted. Taremi, Zielinski might not be fit. Lautaro just came back from his deserved holiday, so maybe might not be in top form. I am expecting this a low-scoring game, under 2.75 goals, 179 with the Asian line. If there are 3 goals, you only lose half a stake.
Perfect. So that was for the opener, Genoa at home against Inter. Next one in line, we got Dani, Parma, Fiorentina. Parma won the Serie B last season. They are back to Serie A after 3 years absence. They never won the Scudetto, yes, although they are 3 times Italian Cup champions. And we all remember, I believe, those UEFA Cup titles, 1995, 1999. I guess the reality for Parma this time around is completely different. There are no Turams, there are no Verons, there are no Crespos. But what is the realistic prospect for them? I really don't know, and I'm really looking forward to hear what you have to say about them. And talking about expectations, what you say about the Fiorentina, Dani? They are one of the teams that lost, or they don't have the same manager than last season. They are coming at the back of 2 seasons in a row, reaching European finals. Again, 2 years in a row, which also ended in defeats for them in those European finals. We still need to see. You are talking about Gudmundsson for Genoa. Well, we need to see if 𝐿𝐿𝐴 is going to play a part or not. If he's going to stay, he's going to leave Fiorentina to get to Juventus, which is his likely destination. They played less than a year ago in December 2023 in Coppa Italia, Parma and Fiorentina, and we had the 2-2 draw. Odds of 2.32, Dani, for an away win are not bad at all, but what's your take?
I wouldn't take Fiorentina to win straight on the nose. Parma are an interesting side. Last season, they only lost 4 Serie B games. Second best defensive record in Italy's second division, 35 goals conceded, with the youngest squad in Serie B. So there is a lot of potential there, returning into Serie A after 3 years under Fabio Pecchia. But of course, Serie B is one thing, Serie A is another thing. The objective is to stay, just to maintain the category, and then do a little bit what Monza has done so far, try to build on that. But for Fabio Pecchia, there are a couple of issues, especially in the attack. Last season, they didn't have many goal scorers. Denis Man, the Romanian, which we saw at the Euros, scored 11 goals. That was the top goal scorer. Berneziak scored 10 goals. And then that's it. They are without Bonni, who picked up an injury in the Coppa Italia defeat against Palermo, another striker. They have strengthened the team a little bit, but again, with the young players. The goalkeeper, very curious to see him, Zion Suzuki, 21 years old, from Sint-Truiden in Belgium, Japanese. Valeri from Frosinone is a good addition. Comes to Fiorentina, the sleeping giant of Italian football, really ready to achieve that success, eager for that success. The Aston Villa of Italian football, the West Ham of Italian football, if you know what I mean. In that position, trying to push for a top 6 finish. Not easy. They were inconsistent last season, to be fair, Fiorentina. They finished 8th in the away table. They hired Raffaele Palladino as a new coach. Again, after 3 years with Vincenzo Italiano, they felt the manager had nothing more to give to the side. So it's a very interesting hiring. Raffaele Palladino, 2 years at Monza, very young coach. And the transfers have been interesting. Return of David De Gea in goal. Was it an opportunity? Was it an opportunity, or was it a necessity? That's the key. David De Gea has been, I think, an outstanding goalkeeper in in Premier League. He's won the Golden Glove multiple times, have won multiple titles. But is he the right fit for Fiorentina? Did Fiorentina really need a new number one? Pietro Terracciano is a very good goalkeeper. David De Gea is good shot stopper. He's not the greatest with his feet, and Raffaele Palladino loves to play from the back, and that's why Michele Di Gregorio at Monza was so highly regarded and went to Juventus. Colpani signed as well from Monza, scored 8 times last season under Palladino. Obviously, he brought him with him. Pongeric replaces Milenkovic, went to Nottingham Forest, and then the big gamble is Moise Kean up front. Last season only scored 1 goal. They still, I think, Fiorentina need to strengthen in midfield because Arturo and Maxim Lopez have returned to their clubs. Nico Gonzalez seems to set to join Juventus. If Nico leaves, he's a massive overall for Fiorentina. I think the season is up in the air. Both teams to score 172 here, but I wouldn't take Fiorentina win straight away.
And also, Danny, with De Gea 1 year away from elite
1 year
football,
away,
it's a lot. I mean, of course, the quality is there. No one's going to take anything away from him, but I believe it's going to take a little bit of time to readapt again to this level. So those are the tips, both teams to score in this Parma Fiorentina. I expect as well maybe a slow start from both teams. So maybe first half draw as well, 2.32. Another option on this fixture. From then, Danny, from Parma Fiorentina, we move on to Milan Torino. We were talking about expectations in the first 2 games with Inter, Genoa, Fiorentina. What to say about Milan and expectations too? They replaced Pioli for Paulo Fonseca. They have added the European champion in Alvaro Morata. They now have also the versatile Emerson Royal, which is maybe not a game changer at all, but it's true that we have seen like Ruben Loftus-Cheek or Tomori, players for whom you would not be paying a ticket just to see them playing, but they've been doing very well coming from the Premier League, as is going the case for Emerson. If that is enough to reduce the 19 points gap with Inter last season, we will have to see. Torino has now Paolo Banoli, who took Venezia to promotion, and his challenge is, I guess, Danny, will be to make Torino maybe a little less dull than last season and trying... Difficult, no? I guess it's too much asking for Banoli. There is a clear favorite here for the bookies. Home win, although there is a clear favorite, not too bad, 1.75 for a Milan win, especially when you can have Rafa Leao and Alvaro Morata up front, Danny.
And for a team like Milan, the last season was second in the home table, you should expect them to win this game. How comfortably? That's the question. Look, they start from a very strong position. They were second last year. Inexplicably, the bookies placed them third in the Scudetto race behind Juventus. I don't quite get it. But there is a new manager, Paulo Fonseca, new identity, focusing more on controlling the ball and controlling the game. So I think Milan will try to attack with the ball, of course, but also defend with the ball, trying to slow the tempo down a little bit. So we might see less high-scoring games in the Milan, especially at the beginning. But as the preseason goes, very good. They beat Real Madrid, Barcelona, Manchester City. Yesterday they beat Monza as well. So definitely, you know, with the spring on their step. But I'm really interested to see what kind of tactical changes it deploys Fonseca. Probably Pulisic playing more as a number 10. 𝐿𝐭𝐿𝐻 on the wing. Loftus-Cheek pairing up in midfield with one between Bennacer and Reinders. And the new centre-back pair of Tomori, Strahinja, Pavlovic. So finally Milan investing in those defensive areas where they've been lacking a lot. You mentioned Morata as well. It's a crucial season for Leao. He needs to decide what sort of player he wants to be. Milan still looking for a holding midfielder. Fofana from Monaco. They really need somebody who never replaced basically 𝐿𝐭𝐿𝐻 and Tonali. Someone with defensive mindset. For Torino, bit of an overhaul, selling Buongiorno to Napoli, one of the best defenders in Italian football, signed Che Adams for free for Southampton. The strength remains still the organization, the 3-5-2, very compact. The defense last season Torino finished with the 4th best defensive record. The return of Pershurs from injury will be a boost. And I think the lesson for Torino is to try to win games when they play better. Last season, Torino were on top for most of the games they played, didn't collect the points they deserved. They lack the cutting edge. Can they do it in the first game against Milan? I don't think so, but I don't expect fireworks either from Milan. Under 2.5 goals, maybe a Milan win 2-0. That's probably the one to go. 196, by the way, under 2.5 goals.
Amazing. So that is Milan-Torino. And then to close the curtain, on Saturday, we got Empoli and Monza. Empoli, one of the survivors, Danny, from last season, their neck just above the water after avoiding the relegation for just 1 point over Frosinone. We mentioned when we touched Fiorentina that Monza was ready for Raffaele Palladino, and they now have Alessandro Nesta. I'm not surprised to see another Rossonero in Monza. Nesta had like some experience as a manager. He started in the United States in Miami FC, which is not the Inter Miami. It's like the second team there in Miami, but that was in 2015. Then spells in Reggiana, Frosinone in Serie B. For what you have seen him, Danny, is he well equipped to repeat what Palladino has done with Monza, or maybe not? The odds are high on both sides, to be honest. Last time around, Empoli enjoyed the comfortable 3-0 win, which was perhaps the victory for the biggest margin last season. But what you expect for this one?
But for Nesta, last season Reggiana were playing well. It was a good side, solid, newly promoted, and didn't suffer really. Of course, now he's inheriting a team with more talent, but also with stronger competition. It's going to be interesting to see it. Also because I think Monza has lost something in the transfer market. Colpani, we mentioned it, went to Fiorentina. Di Gregorio, the goalkeeper, very good, one of the best goalkeepers in Serie A last season, with his feet and with his hands, which is more important probably. Replaced by Sorrentino, so not a bad replacement, by the way. And they also lost Carboni, the Argentinian from Inter, who went to Olympique Marseille, Colombo. So I think the squad depth has diminished. They really haven't invested much. There are new signings, which are returning signing: Sensi, Daniel Maldini, Forson, who played 13 times for Manchester United. So it's a bit of a gamble there. Now the key will be if Gianluca Caprari will be fully fit. He's been very good in the first season in Serie A for Monza. Last season missed the entire season. But when it comes to Empoli, I think you could tip them for relegation for two reasons mainly. Last season, they were saved in dramatic fashion, last minute, with Niang's goal against Roma. They didn't play for anything. And they had the miracle worker on the bench, Davide Nicola. Davide Nicola, who saves everyone. And now the Nicola went to Cagliari. Can they stay in Serie A for a fourth season running? I think this is going to be difficult for Empoli. Last season, they had Italy's worst attack, 29 goals scored, only 15 goals scored at home. And based on expected points, Empoli would have finished in the bottom three. They lost the goalkeeper, Caprile, defenders Berezinski and Luperto, the midfielders Marin and Male. And now, they got a very small budget, less than 10 million to spend. It's going to be challenging for Empoli to stay up. I think for relegation, they are around 1.8. If you think they're going to be relegated, take it now, because I think that odds is going to go down after the first couple of weeks. For this one, Monza not to lose. I'm going to go Asian Handicap plus 0.25 for Monza, 182. I can't expect more than 2 goals scored in the game, to be fair. But 0.25 on the Asian Handicap for Monza, 182. If they draw, you only win half a stake.
Absolutely, I cannot see a goal feast neither in that Empoli Monza. Then on Sunday, Danny, the first one on Sunday, we got Bologna Udinese. We will see how Bologna manages Champions League with Serie A this time around, how they cope now without Thiago Motta. They have appointed Vincenzo Italiano, unable maybe to secure Champions League with Fiorentina, but he's going to get the opportunity to play in Champions League with Bologna. Although there are two things here, Danny, which I like to talk to you, because first, the bar is set very high for Italiano after what Thiago Motta has done last season. And also, contrary to Thiago Motta, who was someone, at least what what I've seen, that someone who likes to trust and start in 11. Italiano is someone who tweaks, changes quite often, actually. Or he has done that in 3 years in Fiorentina. And with Udinese, let's see if they're gonna be once again meddling in relegation battle. But is Bologna, of course, clear favorite here, but mostly based on what we have seen last season, or there are enough measures here to say no? With Italiano, they can repeat.
Is a question mark, because Italiano needs to establish a strong connection with the team. And of course, with Fiorentina, I think he has set a record, 170 formation changed consecutively, whereas Bologna, he could almost name the starting 11 last season by heart. And I think Bologna at the moment, they're a bit depleted. They still need a central defender. They still need a midfielder. And also the other question mark is the last season, Bologna's success was built on strong game control, which led to controlling the game and defending with the ball. They only conceded 12 times at home. Now, Fiorentina under Italiano were nothing like that. They were very open. They were very risk-taking. Also, Bologna took risks against Thiago Motta, but they were able to control the game a little bit better. Fiorentina rarely kept a clean sheet under Italiano, and now without Calafiori, of course, can they do that, Bologna? I think, look, everyone is gonna probably, especially at the beginning of the season, bet against Bologna, because this is where you're gonna find the best prices. You're gonna bet against a team that finished 5th in the Serie A, so anything against Bologna is gonna pay a lot. Any double chance against Bologna is gonna pay a lot. And the question mark is that obviously when the Champions League starts, 8 more games. Now, there are some players sidelined with injuries. Lukumi, Ferguson, 𝐬𝐽𝐬𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐜𝐭𝐿 moved to Manchester United. The replacement, Dallinga from Tolosa scored 19 goals last season for the French club. Cambiaghi from Empoli, Erlich, the defender for Sassuolo. Are they up to the task? We will see. But Udinese is another team with a lot of doubts over them. First of all, they got a new manager, Kosta Runjaic, a Polish manager known for a very aggressive pressing. He is very experienced in Poland. He did well with Legia Warsaw. Last season against Aston Villa in the Conference League, they held their own really well. But now, with a team that's been struggling for the last 2 seasons. But I like the courage of the Pozzo family. They didn't go for the same old Gotti, Cioffi, Ballardini, and repeat. They went for someone else. Let's see, because, new manager, he can be burned very quickly. But there've been a few notable additions to the Udinese squad. First of all, the return of El Niño, Alexis Sanchez. He returns where he started, and he was phenomenal. But we're talking about 13 years ago. Comes after winning 2 Scudetto with Inter, scoring 14 goals for Marsiglia 2 years ago. Probably is going to be an impact player. I'm not expecting him to start every single game. I got more hopes for Iker Bravo, under-19 champion, European under-19 champion with Spain, which Udinese smartly signed. And there've been a lot of changes. Karlstrom, Hegelkamp brought in, Wallace departed. Udinese is a big laboratory, as you know, at the beginning of the season. As I said, I fancy the double chance here, 𝐿2 195. Maybe there is a surprise. I like the price here more than the fact that Udinese are very strong. And I'm going to go with my gut feeling, betting against Bologna, especially at the beginning of the season. 𝐿2 195.
And you, Danny, mentioned Bologna conceding almost every game last season. Both teams to score in here 2.12 as well. The next one we got, Danny, is Verona Napoli. It's always great to have Antonio Conte back to management. I think his last time in London with Tottenham was quite sour, Danny, for him. Not just the results, although the first season was good because he took them to the Champions League, but the way he ended wasn't good. Fighting with players, fighting with the management at the club. But I think my gut feeling is like he's the right man to rebuild at Napoli after they produced maybe the worst title defense ever seen in Serie A, finishing 10th. He's going to have time to work because, of course, there's no European football for Napoli. He won't have Victor Osimhen, but he probably get a reunion with Romelu Lukaku. But then Tottenham Conte said many times that he's not used to be a manager to fight for Champions League qualification, that he's used to fight for titles, and that That is true. But the best he could achieve with this Napoli is actually this, to qualify maybe for the next Champions League. To start, they are favorites on Sunday, yes, but can Conte being Conte, we should see a low-scoring affair against Verona?
Potentially, because Napoli are still work in progress. They have strengthened, especially the defense. I think they've been really smart. They understood last season they were shambolic at the back. They conceded 55 goals. So they've added 3 defenders, Spinazzola, Buongiorno from Torino, and Rafa Marin. Good idea. Strengthen the defense, and that's how Conte is going to build his team around. Defensive solidity, don't concede, try to be solid, and make it difficult for the opponents to break you down. But recently, they have struggled. I watched them playing against Modena at home in the Coppa Italia. They lack inspirations. I wasn't really convinced about the formation. 3-4-2-1 with Cravascelli and Politano in behind Raspadori, which is not the kind of striker that Conte likes. But that's the problem, because they haven't solved the summer jigsaw. Osimhen goes somewhere and we get Lukaku. But if Osimhen goes nowhere, we're not going to get Lukaku. And we are short with the Cholito Simeone on his way out. Basically, Napoli hasn't got a center forward. Look, repeating what Napoli did with Spalletti is difficult. I think a lot of players had the season of their life, Di Lorenzo and Mario Rui above all. But Napoli should be well placed to challenge at least for a top 4 finish, top 5 finish. This one with Verona is going to be tricky. Verona last season had 23 points in the second half of the season compared to 15 in the first half, and they changed 12 players in the summer. But also Verona has gone through a massive overhaul because Marco Baroni, the manager, left, went to Lazio, and under Baroni, Verona were a very aggressive side, 5th for balls recovered through pressing in Serie A, 4th for balls regained through counter pressing. They were very, very aggressive. Now there is Paolo Zanetti, whose last experience in Serie A ended all with relegation, so with him being sackings. And again, with Verona, there is the big unknown because there have been significant changes. The like of Noslin, Cabal, Foloruncio, they've all left after only one season in Serie A. And now they are with the Mosquera, 24 years Colombian, Livramento from Capo Verde, played in MVV in Netherlands, unproven in Serie A. If they are great, we will see, but I think it's going to be difficult, especially at the beginning for Verona, until the transfer market is settled. Don't expect a high-scoring game. 275, under 2.75 goals. Asian line 177. That's my bet.
You mentioned Napoli and Conte strengthening their defense. A clean sheet for Napoli, 2.7. Not bad for an away clean sheet. We will see. We move to Cagliari, Roma. Cagliari, Dani, another survivor from last season, relegation battle, now without the man who made that made it possible, which is Claudio Ranieri, who retired, although I don't believe that. We will see if he doesn't get another managerial chance along the season. They have the miracle man now in charge, as you mentioned him, Davide Nicola, Cagliari, the man who saved Empoli last season, but provided miracles also with Genoa, with Salernitana, and others. And on the other hand, Roma, Dani, is one of the I'm really looking forward to see one of the teams. I'm looking forward to see there's no Lukaku, but they have now La Liga goal scorer Kindovic. And when you add Pellegrini, Dybala, Mathias Soule, those are names to expect good things. Do you think that anything short of Champions League qualification will be considered as a failure for Daniele De Rossi?
It will, because Roma has finished 6th in 3 seasons in a row, 2 under Mourinho and 1 under De Rossi at the end. And considering the investment they've done this season, this summer, yes, they should be finishing top 4. Look, it's not usual that the Italian team buys the Pichichi from La Liga.
Yeah.
Ronaldo, Christian Vieri, Xavi Moreno used to play for Alaves. Don't quite remember us getting a Pichichi. Of course, he helps that he plays for Verona, but still, they managed to get him away from Atletico Madrid. So well done to the Fredkin for the acquisition of Artem Dovbyk, 24 goals scored last season for Girona. Verona scored in every possible way with the header, with the left foot, right foot from the penalty. Didn't have a great Euros, but that could be down to Ukraine not being great, but also Valentin Soulé, 11 goals scored for Frosinone, didn't manage to save them, but was probably the best player in one of the best player in Serie A. And of course Dybala, although there are question marks because De Rossi yesterday said that nobody is indispensable and Dybala's clause is very, very low. He might leave for 20 millions or something, but Roma has invested in young talents, the likes of Lefebvre, Dal, Sanagre, so there is a strategy there, and it's going to be interesting to see. Obviously, De Rossi, from the very beginning, there was a notable change from when he replaced Mourinho. The team played more on the front foot. The game produced more goals. It was more interesting to see. Of course, they have to replace Lukaku, and these 20 goals last year, they still avoid. When it comes to Cagliari, Ranieri was the leader, the technical leader, the spiritual leader. Now he's left. There is a good connection between the team, the fans, and Davide Nicola because of his pedigree. Cagliari struggled last season, but despite that, they were a very good side at home. They scored 28 times, the 7th best tally in the league. They were very vulnerable, though. 68 goals conceded. They have signed Luperto and a couple of defenders. I think, again, if it's another season of 68, 70 goals conceded, they might go down. You need to, you can't be lucky all the time. I see Roma winning here, maybe a narrow win. I like the price here. That's the only full market that I take in this Matchday one. 204, Roma to win.
And also, Daniel, we have seen even from Mourinho's time in Rome, and then continue with Daniele De Rossi, a team that can score usually in the second half as well. So a second half win for Roma takes the odds a little bit higher to 2.45. From Cagliari, Roma, we can move to Lazio, Venezia. Marco Baroni done very well, Danny, last season in keeping Verona afloat, but Lazio is a completely different challenge. There's no more Sarri ball in Lazio, in the capital, but more importantly, there's no more Ciro Immobile. I think it's impossible to replace someone like him, someone who meant so much for a club and for such a long time, like Ciro Immobile. But Baroni will have to cope with that, and I don't think the pressure will be less because now they don't have someone like Immobile. And Venezia is, at least for me, a question mark. Danny, should they do better than Salernitana last season? Is the Asian handicap market the one to have a look in here?
Potentially, if you think Lazio can win, they'll probably win by at least one goal. Look, Baroni has demonstrated all his ability saving teams like Lecce and Verona, so he's used to manage difficult situations. Last season in January, Verona, as I mentioned, sold 12 players, and they still managed to be saved. And they signed players that Baroni never saw apart from in video, and still managed to do it. Now, his experience in Serie A is quite limited, and this is a big step up with a team that is going to be ambitious. It's going to play in the Europa League and has signed players like Castrovilli, Nuno Tavares, so experienced players, but it's been a lot of change. The direction from Lotito, from the president, was clear. We want a younger team, a team that can press higher, that can run faster, that can be more aggressive. So off they went Luis Alberto, of course, Ciro Immobile. But, 2 years ago, Lazio sold Milinkovic-Savic to Saudi Arabia and really struggled to replace him. The expectation is going to be high. Can Baroni handle the pressure? When it comes to Venezia, they had the best attack in Serie B last season. The goal scorer, Poyampalu, was exceptional. He remains at the club, untested in Serie A, but interesting to see. An interesting addition, few interesting addition. Oristanio, play for Cagliari, is a youngster with a lot of promises. Alfred Duncan, more experience from Fiorentina. Nicolussi Caviglia used to play for Juventus. Juventus has shipped away so many youngsters to try to find the money to sign the 𝐿𝐴𝐺𝐼. But yeah, Nicolussi Caviglia is one of them. And now he's under the management Venezia of Di Francesco, who last season with Frosinone was very entertaining to watch. It was a team that played on the front foot. His record is not great because of the relegations and the sacking, but I think he restored his pedigree a little bit last season with Frosinone. Again, a bit of transfer market uncertainty for Venezia. can't expect a high-scoring game here. I don't think they're gonna hit the ground running. But yeah, the under 2.75 goals looks very good. There is a half goal handicap, 181. So if there are 3 goals in the game, you only lose half a stake. I'm not expecting a lot of goals in this first opening match.
And now the one before the last is on Monday. Danny, we have Lecce, Atalanta. By the time we talk, Atalanta still has the Super Cup, European Super Cup against Real Madrid to play for. It's a shame, Danny, that 𝐿𝐿𝐴 story in Bergamo concluded like this one. Gianpiero Gasperini said a few days ago, I think, to Sky Italia, like 𝐿𝐴 is a victim of Juventus tactics, although I think players... And 𝐿𝐴 is not a kid. He should take as well his part of the responsibility in all that. But it's not just 𝐿𝐴. They're not going to have 𝐬𝐿𝐴 for a prolonged period of time because he's injured. But still, Gasperini has, I believe, quality at his disposal. But I don't know if, like, Danny, if he has enough depth to play Serie A and Champions League football this season. They are synonym with goals. Should this change or not against Lecce in Matchday 1 for Atalanta?
It's difficult to play a Lecce away after you play in the Super Cup against Real Madrid. Let's face it, it's not a great combination, you know, to have to play for a silverware and then start the season. It's quite tough, I guess. But let's see. I'm expecting Atalanta to put up a good fight against Real Madrid, but eventually succumb. I think Real Madrid, they go more to them. Look, Gasperini is renowned for his ability, for being very astute, for finding new solutions. The formation is always a 3-5-2, but it changes a lot, and there are players that can interchange position a lot. But of course, it's been everything they did in the transfer market is been vanished by the fact that nicolo Zaniolo is also sidelined. They signed Retegui to replace Scamacca. 𝐿𝐴 is not available. Scalvini, the defender, is still not available. They sold Holm and Atterbury, so there is a bit of changes there as well. We know Gasperini side like to attack and like to play on the front foot. Let's see how they react. It's going to be a lot. I think, again, they're going to be a lot better. They're going to go against Atalanta this season, especially at the beginning. But they face a Lecce side that last season, again, started well and they stumbled across salvation at the end. Gotti, the new manager who came around March, stabilized them a little bit, but they only scored 20 goals from expected goals of 29.48. So really, they were very, very, very poor in front of goals. The improvements are needed, especially from Krstovic. They've signed few foreign players, Marcinski, Morente, Pierre. Again, takes time to bed in. Sold Marin Pongaric to Fiorentina, the central defender. So now it's Gaspar and Baschirotto together. That's probably going to be the key for them. But probably they got the best player in the sporting director, Pantaleo Corvino. He's a talent, a spotting players. He's done it for many, many years. If he gets it right once again, Lecce have an opportunity. But I think it's going to be on a knife edge for them all season long. Both teams to score here, 185.
Perfect. So that is the analysis and the tip for Lecce Atalanta. And the last one to finish on Matchday 1 in Serie A is Juventus Como. The eyes, I guess, Daniel, will be on both benches. Thiago Motta in Juventus, Cesc Fabregas in Como. Motta is not the only change at Juve because they have produced quite an overhaul of their squad. Chesney rescinded his contract. Soulé is out. Barrenechea is out. Moise Kean is out. Rabiot left after 5 years in Turin. Chiesa is not out, but at least he's frozen. I know that to have Thiago Motta is exciting, I guess, for Juve fans, but I'm not so sure if he has enough to compete with Inter, with Milan, or even with Roma. And then Cesc Fabregas, I think he has an opportunity to show in Italy's biggest stage that he's prepared to deliver what everyone says about him. Maybe he could become the new Mikel Arteta in the making. Can Como at least dream with the first half double chance? Odds of 2 for that to happen.
I think they can. And there are also very good odds for Asian handicap plus 1.5 for Como. Juventus are stronger, But I think patience will be needed for the fans and for Thiago Motta. They are expected to adopt a more dynamic attacking style of play, moving away from the rigidity under Allegri. But the fact that they've signed so many players and they're still looking to sign 𝐿𝐭𝐵, Nico Gonzalez, maybe another winger, that tells you they are incomplete. And I think the position where they lack the most quality is in midfield and the playmaker. I don't see Locatelli being a playmaker. I don't see Locatelli being the Çalhanoğlu of Juventus. They need somebody with better playmaking skills, can spread the ball, can hit different range of passes. And I think Douglas Luiz complements that, but I see him more as a box-to-box player. 𝐿𝐭𝐵 will be a good addition, but again, someone playing more in the attacking areas. And of course, up front, Nico Gonzalez will give them some unpredictability. Look, Motta inherits a team the last season won just one of the last games, which was the Coppa Italia final, luckily for them. But they had a very, very poor run after being defeated by Inter in February. So this is going to be tough one. If you look at the formation, it's the same defense, it's the same back four. Di Gregorio is the new goalkeeper. Up front is Vlahovic and 𝐿𝐭𝐻𝐻, who's a 19 years old, now trusted to create all the attacking play for Juventus. And Vlahovic had a good season last season, 16 goals, but needs to be more precise in front of goals. He was second for big chances missed behind Kvaratskhelia. 𝐿𝐭𝐵 is going to be the story of the Serie A. It could be a double-edged sword, because obviously they have got a lot of ambitions, make great investments, players like Belotti, Varane, who by the way is already injured, Pepe, Alberto Moreno. Also, they strengthened the squad. It was already strong in Serie B with the likes of Cutrone, etc. But everyone is going to step up the game against 𝐿𝐭𝐵. They're not going to be treated as a newly promoted side. They're going to be treated like almost an established side. It's going to be interesting to see the style of play, quick, agile, lot of interchange of positions. Against Sampdoria, they were unlucky in Coppa Italia. They play well, could have scored a couple of goals more. Lost on penalties. I think 𝐿𝐭𝐵 are going to probably set up a little bit more cautiously, a little bit defensively. This is not going to be easy for them. By the way, Juventus are the teams that won most of the opening matches in Serie A, 56. So maybe that's a good omen for them. But if they win, I think it's a low-scoring game again, under 2.75 goals, 187.
So that is everything you need to know about Matchday 1 in Serie A. Guys, do not forget as well that you can also participate in our monthly tipster competitions. So hit to Oddspeedia's website and you can also win some cash prizes in our monthly tipster competition. Amazing analysis from Daniele Fisichella once again. But before we go, of course, what's your safe bet and ACCA, Dani, for Matchday 1 in Serie A?
The safe bet is Monza not to lose at the Castellani in Empoli. So it's an X2, it's a double chance, 159.
And what's your ACCA, Dani?
3 selections starting on Saturday: Genoa Inter under 2.5 goals, Verona Napoli under 2.5 goals, and Roma, the biggest prize, Asian handicap -1. The total odds goes to 11.34.
Dani, a pleasure as always.
Thank you, Leo.
And you guys, speak to you soon. And you guys, as always, do not forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notifications bell. Bye-bye. Ciao.
Ciao.